Hey, Pascal here again, and in this video I give you my 5 best tips to get better drone shots. I'm actually in my new apartment in Chiang Mai right now. I love this city here. It's pretty cheap, but also the surrounding around the city is incredibly nice. There are a lot of waterfalls and you can see a lot of temples, a lot of beautiful nature here. It's just a good place. So if you haven't been to Chiang Mai yet, then just go here. And of course, what you can also do good everywhere in Thailand is to fly drones and get nice shots. And that's what I want to talk about here today. My 5 best tips to get cinematic, great looking drone shots. And yeah, here's the first tip. So the very first tip that I want to give you is to fly low to the ground, or learn to fly low to the ground and close to objects. Because what I see on a lot of beginners when they do their first drone flights, and I mean it's nothing bad about it, it's the way you learn it, is that they just bring their drone up high in the air and get those amazing shots from the top. I mean, those shots are nice too, but when you only do those kind of shots, then you don't have a big variety in your videos. So a friend of mine, for instance, he just had those kind of shots from high up in the air, looking all the landscapes and so on. And yeah, it's good, but he only had it, and like he was flying for such a long time. Like sometimes it took 10 or 15 seconds until the scene changed, and even then it was basically the same, just maybe 100 meters farther. So this is just not interesting. You need some more variety in your shots. You need close-up shots, you need medium shots, and you need long shots. You need a big variety, and that's why I think that a good way to use your drone is to fly low to the ground, get close to objects, also to people. If you're a better pilot, you shouldn't do that right from the beginning, but if you're a bit more experienced, it's also okay to fly closer to people, get some shots like from behind, someone walking and so on. You can do that easily with active track, but also other things like flying close to some rocks or cliffs over the ocean and so on. This is just nice. It creates also more depth inside your shot. And depth is also an important factor when it comes to video production, because when you have some depth in your shot, let's say you have a parallax effect when you move to the side with your drone, or even with your DSLR, when you have a blurred out background and the foreground object is sharp and so on, then you get a sense of a 3D environment in your shots, and that looks pretty nice. And the best way to do that, to create some depth with the drone, is to just fly close to objects and move a bit around that, because you don't have this depth. I mean, you can focus with a Mavic Pro or with a Phantom 4 Pro, but really focusing with drones, because the sensors are so small, usually doesn't look very nice. You can do that with an Inspire 2, but that's a completely other level, and you wouldn't probably watch my video anymore. So first tip here, fly low to the ground and close to objects. Of course, you don't need to do that always. You can get some shots from high up in the air, but that shouldn't be your only shots. The next tip I have is that you should move constantly. So let me explain that. When you watch some beginner videos like, oh, my first drone flight and so on, then what the people are usually doing is that they fly like a bit to the left, bit to the right, and in front, and let's turn a bit and so on. So you don't have a constant movement, like your drone moving in one direction all the time, or like two angles, like moving in one direction and moving the camera up while doing that. Or you move to the side, and while doing that you also move your drone up and so on. You can do a lot of nice shots, you have a lot of options, but the most important thing here is that you have a constant movement. That, for instance, when let's say I would fly over the ocean and film the water, and suddenly in the shot my camera goes up. That doesn't look professional or good. It's better if my camera moves up pretty slow, and then I have a longer shot, like 3 to 5 seconds, where it slowly goes from the water to the horizon or so on. So I think you get what I want to say, like just get a constant movement in your shot. I mean, it's usually the case that you start recording, then you start flying. So of course it's not a constant movement all the time. So the way how you do is that this part with the constant movement, it should be long enough so that you can cut it correctly inside your video and you can just cut off the other parts of the clip. Pretty easy. And the third tip actually helps you a little bit with the first two tips. And this tip is that you should use your tripod mode. Of course, not always, but especially when you fly low to the ground or close to object, in the tripod mode is a good way to do that because it slows down your complete drone. Like everything you do with your drone is slowed down. You have a lot less speed while flying forward or to the sides, and yeah, also up and down and so on. And that's good because it makes it easier for you to control everything. If you press your joystick in one direction and your drone accidentally or suddenly moves pretty fast, then it's not good to create those slow, nice shots. And with a tripod mode, it's much easier to control your drone, especially when you fly very close to objects. And it's also nice because you get slower movements, and especially when you want to fly close to objects or low to the ground, then this is important to have a slow movement. If you, let's say you fly pretty fast around objects, then yeah, it doesn't look like you wanted to do it like that in the video anymore. And it's much better so if you have a slow movement going on there, and the tripod mode is perfect for that. It's also a lot safer to use the tripod mode, especially let's say on Koh Lanta I was flying around some palm trees. I wanted to fly through the palm trees to let a beach come up and so on, and yeah, I mean, I could have done that probably in normal mode, but with the tripod mode it was definitely safer. I had a lot more control over the drone. And of course, my shots also got better because I was able to focus more on my slow movement than just looking all the time for, oh, am I too close to a tree or something. So that really helps a lot using the tripod mode. And my next tip, and that's a tip that doesn't only apply to drones, you can basically do that with every gimbal, is that you should use more than just one X for the movement of your shot. So for instance, I can just fly forward, like I told before, or I can also move the camera up while moving forward or down. And what I can also do, for instance, I can do exactly the same backwards, flying backwards and moving the camera from a down perspective up. Usually looks pretty nice as an opening shot because you reveal the scene. What you can also do is you can fly around an object. So for example, you fly to the right and at the same time you turn your drone. It's a bit hard to learn, but when you can do that, it looks pretty nice. And there's also an easy way to do that. You can just use the, what is it called? The point of interest mode in DJI drone. So you basically fly over the point that's of interest and you set a point there, then you fly away and you can then, yeah, just the drone flies around this point automatically. So you just set up the distance. Pretty easy. Just watch in your manual from your drone how it goes and then you know it exactly. And yeah, this is nice because when the more movement you get in a shot, the more interesting the shot looks. So if I just move all the time the camera forward, then yeah, it's not a big variety. And if you have those crazy shots where, let's say, the camera moves a bit forward and then to the left, and maybe at the same time also like a 3x movement, like a bit up and so on. For instance, when I want to film a tower or something, then it looks incredible. Like it looks like, how did he do that? It's just amazing. It gets attention. So the more movement you have in a shot, the better it usually is. And with more movement, I don't mean faster movement. I mean more movement, that you don't move just in one direction, but in multiple directions at the same time. So try it out, play a bit around with that. A drone is a good start for that technique, so because you have this controller and it's pretty easy to control everything. But when you have a gimbal, you have to play around with your hands and this is a lot harder. So a drone is definitely a good start to do that. And what you will recognize while doing that is that a drone can actually replace a complete camera crane. The only move, especially with phantom drones, that's usually not so good to do is pointing the camera straight up, or at least up like 45 degrees or something, because then you see the props. It's a bit better with the Mavic Pro or the Mavic Air and so on, where the camera is in front of the drone, not in the middle, but it's still not perfect like a camera crane, because there you're really 100% flexible. But most of the shots that can be done with a crane can easily be done with a drone. Like when I was shooting a commercial here in Thailand, man, I used the Mavic Pro flying backwards, then like a girl from a massage salon was walking in front of my drone, was flying backwards, and then the drone moved down and yeah, turned a bit to the left, while this lady was kneeling down to present some menu for the massage and so on. And like those shots, you would usually use a camera crane for that. In that case, I didn't need a camera crane. I could do everything with a drone. It's just amazing. So really learn how to film in multiple axes at the same time, or to move in multiple axes at the same time, and you will definitely get very nice shots and a lot more options to film. And my fifth and also my last tip here is actually regarding the Mavic Air and the Spark and so on, with all the new flight modes coming up. That is that you should be careful using those flight modes, simply because this doesn't look professional anymore. So for example, when you use the asteroid mode on the Mavic Air, seriously, this mode, it's cool, I like it too, but it's far away from professional, and especially because there's no constant movement in it. Like when this drone moves away from the pilot, then there are some changes in speed and so on. So it doesn't look like a constant professional movement. It looks a bit cheap. In my opinion, this doesn't look professional at all. I wouldn't use it in my videos, but there are of course some modes that you can use. So for example, the boomerang mode, where the drone flies a bit away from you and behind you in a circle. That looks pretty good actually, and I mean the drone seems to fly pretty slow. I don't have the Mavic Air right now, so I didn't test it out by myself, but from what I saw from other YouTubers is that when it flies so slow, the drone, then you can easily take a part of that complete boomerang shot, where the drone is maybe flying behind you and reveals the ocean or something, and then it actually looks pretty cinematic and good. So if you use those special flight modes, those quick shot modes wisely, then it can actually add some value to your vlogs or videos or whatever you do. But if you use it too much, or if you use the wrong flight mode, then it can actually make your videos look pretty cheap. So be a bit careful with that, but if you find a good way to use it, then yeah, definitely go for it. So these were my 5 best tips here for drone flying. I hope I could help you with that to make your footage a bit better. If yes, then please hit the subscribe button here now to don't miss out other videos in the future. See you in the next video.